Hello, good morning. Well, we have another band coming through, so I guess I jumped a gun just a little bit, but probably won't be anything we can't handle. But Mississippi, Tennessee, going northeast is getting hit pretty hard. We've had rain all over the United States, and farmers being inundated with water. I've gone to other channels to look at different reports, and especially Never Lose Truth. She covers a lot of the United States. And then, of course, we had the fires in California affecting a lot of areas. And some of that is growable land. So it's not only the Midwest, but most of your food in this country comes from the middle part of the United States. And we have had catastrophic losses here in the not so far past, and you know it's been over and over and over and over again, especially the last couple of years. And I see comments of people of, why do you live where you live if it's going to flood, and you need to move, and you need to do all this, as sure as they're sitting in some major city somewhere. And there are catastrophes everywhere in the world. There are different types of catastrophes. There are earthquakes where the ground can just open up right up underneath you without any warning. We're going to tell everybody to move from over there. There are tornadoes that, just hit sporadically here and there. And now we're having more tornadoes up in as far as North Dakota, which is just like unheard of. The weather patterns are changing, and they want to blame it on climate change. Volcanoes, the emission of volcanoes do more damage as far as CO2 release and other chemicals than all of us in the world combined. And that's a fact. The earth is going through changes. It goes through cycles, normal cycles. And then we have weather modification, which is a fact, an absolute fact. To what extent they're modifying the weather, I'm not so sure. But all the way back in the 50s, they were, who was it? Was it Eisenhower that says, those who control the weather control the world? And they were working on it back then. If you go and do the research, it's there. And whatever you find, there's more that you don't see, that they don't tell you about. There are companies on the internet that's all they do. That's their job. That's their business, is seeding clouds for rain, or maybe seeding clouds to not produce rain or something. I'm not sure of the science of it all. I'll have to do more studies. It's hard to hold all that in your memory, but it is happening. And it's not a lie. It's not a conspiracy. Harvard even wrote up on it, although they said they were just starting, like chemtrailing, which we know they've been doing. Any of us who've lived on this planet for more than 40 years, maybe 35 years, you should be able to see a difference in the skies on a regular basis. These are not the clouds that we used to lay on the ground and call, dinosaurs or Mickey Mouse or whatever it was that we were claiming they look like. Those clouds rarely exist anymore. Mainly we have streaks of what they call these cirrus clouds, or gray haze. But the nice billowy white clouds, those few that would be in the sky and the sky would be blue, those days are rare, very rare. And I can see that they are rare from all over the country, from what people are posting. But let's get back to who's feeding you in this country. The people who are feeding you are the ones who you're criticizing for where they live. They're the ones who are flooding out. They're the ones who are losing 400 million of cattle. They're the ones who are losing 450 million worth of crops in certain areas. For those of you who are vegetarian, your dry beans, which North Dakota is mainly the producer of, they're losing their crops on dry beans. We are the top 3 with India and China. We feed the world. So it's not only the United States that's going to lose, it's the world. You're talking about a world food shortage. And there are places in India right now who their water has run out. There's a drought. China, we don't get all the information coming from there, but this weather problem is around the world, not just here in the United States. There are some predictions that the farming and crop production will collapse by 2035, which, that's just a prediction, but with the way things are going, I mean, that's not unreasonable. These farmers can only take so much loss before they finally throw up their hands and say, enough is enough. We can't do this anymore. I mean, we have an avocado shortage right now, but, I mean, we can all live without avocados, but there's a shortage right there. Corn that goes into making petrol for your vehicles, and corn that feeds you, corn that goes into so many of the products in the United States and all over the world. Corn's a huge problem right now. They're losing this. But some people are just walking around blind thinking that food just magically appears in a grocery store by a food fairy. And that is not the case. There is no food fairy that magically just waves a wand and the food appears in the grocery store so that you can buy it. So before you go mouthing off about why do you live where you live and why do you do what you do, well, some of us aren't in floodplains. Some of us are not in areas where it actually floods. You've been misinformed. Just because we live next to a river doesn't mean that it floods in that area. Some of you need to study topographical maps and how it actually should work. But you don't know. I'm frustrated with the ignorance or the downright stupidity. Maybe they've been taught and they forgot, or they were taught and they didn't pay attention. But this country is, if this keeps up at the rate it's going with these natural disasters, the world is going to be in trouble. And you might want to consider what you're going to do. Can you grow anything? Do you have a water filtration system? Do you have anything if the grocery store shuts down? I am somewhat prepared, but I could be better prepared. I know that. I mean, I have an itty-bitty garden right there. I need to expand things. In this ground, we have a high clay content, so I have a problem with growing food. So we raised it. This is the end of this over here. It's kind of looking scraggly. But, so we raised in a little bed. We had a bigger garden, but it just wasn't taking. For years we put effort into that. So we're going to build more raised beds. Let's not even get into shortages of other things, but y'all need to quit criticizing the people out there that feed you. The people who out there who work really hard to provide what you take for granted. I'm not a farmer, but I come from a long line of them on one side of my family, and they busted their butts to provide for their family and to produce products for this country. And there are less and less of them because of situations that are going on like this. So keep that in mind. Learn, read, educate yourself. Try and put yourself in somebody else's shoes for a little while, and understand that things don't just magically appear. There's somebody somewhere who helped produce that product. And the clothes you're wearing, those comes from farmers too. The cotton. I mean, think about it, people. And let's wisen up a little bit and stop taking things for granted. Because if this world, if things continue the way that they're continuing, this world's going to be in trouble. It's going to be in big trouble. And the lack of education in this country and compassion for others is really what's going to get us in trouble. Huge trouble. So that is it for now. I'm waiting for the last ban since I jumped the gun. And I will talk to you later.